Hello and welcome back to our courses, Introduction to Information Technology 2. This is the fifth meetings, and today we are going to focus and discuss more with the topics about mobile application for innovative and creative uses. So basically, last week we have talked about the use of cloud technology, the case study using content management services, and today let's focus more on how we can utilize mobile technology because of course some of you, or can say most of you, is known for using mobile technology in its daily life. So today we are going to focus on how we can use this into our innovative and creative uses for entrepreneurship, or services, businesses, or even in uh, more specialized fields such as healthcare, or maybe in agriculture, or any kind of fields that related to the use of this technology. Okay, let's start with the definition of the mobile technology and the application that revolve in this technology. So we do know that a mobile application is a system or a program that utilize in mobile platform or a smartphone that we know today, such as Android, such as iOS, or even some old technology that we know that uh, if I remember from the current news, we have a comeback from a mobile technology such as Nokia, who has an old operating system called Symbian. And today they are going to try and make a new one based on the old product. So basically, mobile application is a program that revolved not only by the definition of the system in the mobile technology, but also revolve into creative and innovative uses in mobile application, which is the reason that people could gather and transfer information in a lot of way using mobile technology. So that's why this should be able to develop into a better society. Now let's focus more on the definition of mobile application. Mobile application is a type of application designed to run on a mobile device, which can be a smartphone or even some kind of other technology such as tablet computer, which we seen uh, can be used or has been used more specifically in education. So some of the education such as international curriculum education or schools use tablet computer as one of its primary devices to help to educate or to teach their students. So it has revolved into a lot of educational field as well. So even if this kind of mobile application is some kind of a small software, this is not also limited to a certain function. They usually could also uh, give a lot of huge services and also experience for the uses of technology itself, because it's not limited now to a certain resources. Probably this could be a problem back in the day because back in maybe 2000, the early 2000, we have such a limited hardware resources that is earlier, but today we have become a major it has become a major power in today's development in society. However, um, this could prove a better option that we could use today. That's why it would be better if we try to understand first about the fundamentals of the history of the mobile application that we know today. This is needed to make sure that we understand the meaning or the uses of technology, so that we can focus on the innovation and the creation or the creative uses using this kind of technology, because while learning the history of the technology itself, it could become a new idea for us. So let's move into the next topics, which is the history of mobile app. So the history of mobile app began on 1948. It was created by a guy named Tom Kilburn, which created the first electronically computer program. Back in the day, it was first run in a huge computer because of the limited facilities and knowledge back in the day. And it has become one of the primary focus in the software engineering, which is to make a program that could be used anywhere or could adapt into another places. So that's why it was called a mobile application. It was developed in 1978, also become a huge step by Dan Brickland, where he first created Fission calculator. Back then, it was a computer by an Apple using old Apple II that created using what we called a assembler programming language. And it has made a huge leap in the term of technology used back in the 90s, where we uh, focus on a smaller technology using keypads. We might remember back in the day when we see a small phone, heavy one, that was created by IBM. It was one of the competitor back in the day and become huge in the future and known more as Lenovo, because it was sold, if I remember correctly, to Asian company, especially in China. And it was a huge leap in humanity because back in that uh, leap of technology, we know that the smart smartphone that we know today, it was back in 2007 when we have our first iPhone, and it also launched a more recognizable mobile apps that we love to use and even revolve in that mobile app. That's why the history of this mobile app is kind of fascinating and also interesting, and we can make some kind of conclusion that the better the software, the better the technology, the more it become flexible, the more it decrease on size, but still manage to fulfill the needs of the society. That's why this become one of the creation that could be potentially used in the innovative or creative way. Now, let's make a little uh, trip back in the history in 1948. where what we call a small scale experimental machine that we also known back in the day named supercomputer. So this SSEM, small scale experimental machine, was the first electronic stored program that built in the University of Manchester by Frederick C. Williams, Tom Kilburn, and Geoff Tootle, where it ran off in 21 June of 1948. This is not intended to be a practical computing. That's why it looks so huge. It doesn't look well, but it is truly the first accessible technology that we have today. We have what we call a random access memory, or we know today as RAM. Now we know that the bigger the RAM, the better the technology that we have, and this is the first Kickstarter that initiated and developed into what we know today. So this is also called a Manchester Mark One. If you all remember, or maybe you have some knowledge in the movies, maybe Iron Man, you may know why the Iron Man superhero was the machine was called Mark One. It is one of the definition that was taken from the development or the history of uh, mobile technology. On the 1978, the feasible calculator was introduced in April, was also the first one to introduce what we know today as spreadsheet. We know Microsoft Excel, we have Google Sheets, and all of other programs to calculate and even to show our financial reports. It was back in this day, the team was able to make a feasible calculator. And this is a huge leap in terms of um, program that we need to use for financial or using reports in a spreadsheet style program. In the 90s as well, the IBM Simon personal computer, which was named after the creator Simon, have what we call a touchscreen PDA. So this is also the start of Kickstarter, when also was used as back in the day the technology for keypad. They have also introduced touchscreen PDA. It was called PDA before we know the term for smartphone. So back in the day, this has become a huge leap into the mobile application, mobile technology that we know today. It was heavy at first, but it became the most favorite technology in the society back in the day. We remember how big the technology was, and it includes the most powerful technology that we know today, which is the communication feature that we can call people from anywhere we wanted. Back in the day, they only knew to make a communication, make a phone call using the uh, house call, using the cable line, or even go to the telephone booth in order to become or to contact with each other. And the last but not least, the huge leap on our mobile technology, which is the 2070, where iPhone 1 was first introduced. It hugely focused on the mobile application that we know today. It was designed and focused into the use of its own personal application, which made a huge leap and even create a new competitor operating system that we know today. So this has become a successful product even today. Uh, a lot of the people in the society wanted to buy a new version each year. Of course, I think all of you know about this iPhone. Even some of you may it's not familiar or doesn't like this kind of product, but this is the Kickstarter of the smart application that we know today. Now we have known the history on the making, where the smart technology, the smart application that we know today is used. Now we focus on how we create the application that we know today. So let's discuss about why the key mobile app development technologies is the things that we are hugely wanted. So the mobile app development is divided into three key mobile development, which is the native app, where it was introduced as the advanced user interface interaction and using the uh, fast performance, and it focused on a distribution using application store such as the Google Play or the iOS store or another platform where it includes application software stores that distribute a lot of application. Hopefully, the one with the most secure access or secure distribution. We also know we also have what we call web app, where it focus on how it could provide an instant update and unrestricted distribution. We also have the hybrid between the native and the web, where we call it hybrid application, where it have the access to native platform but also have the distributional platform using the app store platform. Now let's discuss about native application first. So for example, we have native applications such as WhatsApp for mobile telecommunication. We have Spotify for music, or even Waze for us to check the traffic in our road. So native apps are built for a single mobile operating system. That's why they are called native. It is particular to a platform or a device. It is for example, we have what we call exclusive application. That's what the native application was. The majority of mobile apps today are built for systems like Android or iOS. So to put it simply, you cannot install this kind of application in another platform. You cannot install what we know in Android APK into iPhone or vice versa. So the main benefit of these native apps is what we call high performance, and it has an excellent user experience, or with what we call UE. It's uh, it has a smooth operational interface and even make a better development for the developer, because it has a lot of tools on access for a broad range of APIs to help to accelerate the development work and extend the boundaries of the app usage as well, since this native application can only be downloaded in its own app stores and instantly uh, installed into its own devices. Next one is web application. So web application or web apps are software application that are similar to native apps, but it also works on mobile devices using the internet or the browser. However, the significant differences between native and web apps is usually on how it runs. So basically, web application requires a browser to run the application, but sometimes you can pack this kind of web application into native apps using some what we call cross-platform coding or devices. And this web apps is usually written in web programming language such as JavaScript, PHP, or even uh, the exclusive programming from Microsoft, which is ASP. So in order to use this kind of web application, this app needs its core URL, and then it is needed to be one of the option when it is installed into an app. So it simply create a bookmark, a local host connection in their browser to run this application. For example, of this application, we have what we call Google Doc editor, we have Canva, we have Lumin PDF as well, where we can connect it using browsers such as Google Chrome, such as Mozilla Firefox, or even the Microsoft Edge. So since this system require what we call personal database, it will be saved directly into the server. So user can only use this kind of application if they have an internet connection to connect. But some web application could be able to be used as long as it is connected, and it could has temporary connection to use its main features. But still, in order to save your works, you need to be connected into the internet. That's why this kind of web application also require a good internet connection. Otherwise, you will risk your data, your works to be deleted if it is not saved into the database. So that's the disadvantage of the web application. And here comes the hybrid kind of application as solution, where we not just focus on native, we're just not focus on a web application, but the combination of uh, those kind of applications. So hybrid apps are built using web technologies such as JavaScript, CSS, and HTML5, but also disguised into what we call a native wrapper, where it wrap this kind of web technologies into a native application. This hybrid apps as well has the advantage such as the easy and fast development, which is also a clear benefit to it. And also they have the advantage for the user to also get a connection or an access to a single code base, or what we call universal coding for all the platforms. So this could potentially lower the cost of the maintenance or the streamlines of updating processes. And this would become a huge benefit for the developer as well. It's also use the advantage of many APIs that are provided by the Google or any kind of a huge company or huge services in order to deliver or produce a feature such as a gyroscope or geolocation, where today it has become one of the data that needed in a lot of services, such as when we are going to use our social media, we need an information out about our geolocation based on the GPS that installed in our smartphones. But on other hand, this kind of application may lack speed and performance because in our current technology today, uh, it need a huge resources, and also you might have face into experience in design issues because the might may not uh, seen or fuse the same because the platform is different. Sometimes the platform is different, the size of the screen is different as well. This could become a huge problem when they're not using what we call um, the design, the user-friendly design, where it usually become uh, compatible when are used in more than two platforms. For hybrid application, we have Instagram, Twitter, and Uber, for example. So this is the main use of hybrid application. It's quite different with the two previous because it's usually used in a huge companies. Meanwhile, in small or medium size of a company, they usually use between native or web-based application. It become a more user preference based on what kind of fields they are working on, and it has its own advantages and disadvantages as well. Now we have known about the key mobile development from native, web, and hybrid application that we can choose from in order to implement this mobile technology in our creative or innovation use. Now let's focus and discuss about the programming language that commonly used in mobile development. We need to learn about this common programming language because a lot of the language has its own pros or cons, its own advantage or disadvantage when uh, are used in order to develop an application. So this kind of programming language is used because the needs and the demand of this application has risen over the decades, especially when it comes to pandemic situation that we have faced. Now, we as a developer, in order to use this kind of technology, we need to focus on choosing and analyze what kind of programming language that we invest our time and our money in order to create our own mobile application. So you need to choose between the right tools to create a robust, innovative, and also user-friendly application for whatever needs we wanted to choose from. Whether we want it for businesses, we want it for our entertainment mobile app, or even creative use of our mobile application as well. So several mobile programming language we can choose. For example, we have JavaScript that I mentioned earlier, as well as the part of web application. We have Kotlin, we have Python that I give you an example in previous meetings as well. We have C++ and C cross, where it is also one of the most interesting programming language that we can use today. Now let's try to learn a bit about this programming language. We have JavaScript. JavaScript is best if you're going to develop an application for a cross-platform needs. If you wanted your user to access it from mobile, smartphone, or in various platform as well, or uh, in web browser such as Google Chrome. This kind of programming language could run smoothly in other environment as well, outside of browsers even, and it could be compiled in a wide array of programming language, which mean it could be installed or even be used combined with other programming language as well. So it has the advantage of clean, concise, and perspective syntax, where what syntax means is you can give a clear command or clear instruction to your software, where it could also increase the efficiency if it is developed in team-based environment. It also interoperable and versatile and can easily overrule the shortcomings of its mother programming, which is the Java programming. However, this kind of programming language is often vulnerable and can be exploited by uh, some uh, users for malicious purpose in some cases. It could also encounter some of browser support issues because some of the browser doesn't support JavaScript as well. So it also has the disadvantage of the needed to use server-side script, which always provide the same output that could become a trouble if we are going to develop an application that requires different output when we are trying to give a feedback to the system or to the mobile application that we develop from. In Kotlin, we have the option to develop our mobile technology in Kotlin programming language as well, because Kotlin is statically a type programming languages. So it doesn't use a user-based interface to to develop a system, but it use a statically type. It type, it code, and focus on the potential to influence and combine using other programming as well. It could also be combined with Java to make high performing and robust apps, or even uh, use another combined application, or what we call SDK, software development kit, such as uh, another application as well, such as Trello, Evernote, Coursera, and many other applications as well, in order to give the best mobile application that is needed for our user. The advantage of Kotlin is this kind of programming language is fast. It has a client-side browsing which doesn't need to be compiled. It would be easier for the user to use because it doesn't require a compiling process. It also pretty straightforward to work with and easy to control. It doesn't need to be set of standard and plenty of room for variation. This is good for innovation and creative use as well, because of it doesn't have standard to be used. But for the disadvantages of this programming language, it's still a new language and it's doesn't have the publicity. So that's why some of the services doesn't support this programming language, and you need to think hard before you choose this programming language, because this is new. It has quite a huge risk to be used, because sometimes when it doesn't get a warm welcome as a new language, it went away, and it would be a huge risk for us to take, because uh, when it doesn't get supported, then it's dead, and you need to find a new programming language. And also it has some kind of quality issues, where it gets slower sometimes. We still doesn't figure out why Kotlin become slower sometimes, and it's because this is still new, it's still under development. Hopefully in the future it would be a fix, it would be fixed. And also it has some disadvantages on how the resources is still limited, because this is new. Not a lot of people master it and able to share it with the rest of the society. as especially or specifically in develop in the developer community. Next, we also have Python, where it's also an interesting one that I described earlier as an application that focus on entertainment application such as gaming or machine learning and many more. So Python is basically uh, programming that used to develop web application, desktop apps, media tools, machine learning, network servers, and many more. It's so robust. It has a lot of functionality. That's why a lot of huge company use this programming language, such as YouTube, Instagram, or even Pinterest. This language provides excellent library as well as supports community integration and also control capabilities. Its advantage is it's quite fast and easy to use. That's why I recommend this one to be used for the beginner. It is quick to deploy, easy to learn, and it has excellent on where we are going to read our programming language. It also supports multiple system and platform. So it is focused on cross-platform use of our application. It has huge set of frameworks as well, which make programming flexible. The disadvantage of Python is it's quite vulnerable as well and can be used the same as JavaScript. It could be used by bad people to exploit and do malicious purpose in some cases. It also encounters some pro support issues because nowadays browser doesn't really support the use of Python, and sometimes in the server side scripts the profile is the same as the JavaScript, meaning that it's doesn't really flexible on giving an output, and we are going to focus on dynamic output on our system. C++. This is also the programming language that considered as an upstanding choice for mobile app development, even though that the focus of this programming language is to develop uh, PC-based programming, PC-based application, especially for Microsoft-based operating system. It is generally used as an object-oriented language, or the use based on an object-focused coding, and it has a huge advantage in level memory manipulation feature. So it means that it could give the capacity or the flexibility in the use of this kind of programming as well. This programming language is commonly used too for Android app and native app development. It's used also for developing games or a GUI or graphical user interface based application. Also be used as real-time mathematical simulations as well, and also interested in a lot of banking application because of how good the security is. This is also popular with the cloud computing application nowadays that we know today. Then it could quickly adapt into the changing of our infrastructure or even our ecosystem. It has the advantage of how fast and stable it is, and how good and stable its inbuilt libraries, compilers, or what we call extension. It also has the advantage when you master the use of C++ programming, you can quickly learn Java or also C Sharp, because the programming language is quite similar with each other, because this you can learn it more easier, and you can focus also in multiple programming language. It also has the advantages of how it perform a no garbage collector because it doesn't uh, get a lot of resources as a garbage, and it doesn't let it run in the background, so it's really friendly for our random access memory if we are limited to our infrastructure in our RAM especially. It but it has the disadvantage on how complex the instruction of our our uh, coding, or how we type our instruction in the system, because it's quite complicated and need a certain command in order to build an application, and it doesn't really work really well as well because how small the extension in this programming language, and it's also a complicated programming language to master because of how complex the syntax is. It also cannot support a garbage collection or dynamic memory allocation because it has become one of its advantages because it doesn't support how it has how it collect temporary data. It become one of its weapon and also its weaknesses because we cannot make an innovative ways or methods using this programming language. So that's all about the C++. Now let's discuss its sister programming language, which is the C sharp. So it is pronounced as C sharp, where this programming language is also an object-oriented one, the same one with the C++, but the general purpose of this programming language is widely or known for the mobile development because this is more friendly and it doesn't really focus the same one with the C++ because the focus of the features is for the cross platform. It doesn't mean that C++ doesn't support cross platform, but uh, comparing to C sharp, this is this give a better feature and better development tools for the development of the mobile technology, and it also focus and really have the great features of developing a cross-platform, which is also included in Windows operating system. So C Sharp has everything user want to achieve if they wanted to combine it with other language as well. So it doesn't really only focus in one language, but you can combine it if you wanted the the advantage of other programming languages as well. So the advantage of this C sharp is also fast. It is easy to use and quick to deploy, the same as its mother language, the C++. It's also simple, modern, and yet a general purpose language. It can be used not only for gaming, it could be used for mobile application, and also another purpose of a system that we wanted to develop. And this programming, the C sharp, is also the most preferred programming language in the developer community today, but it has also some cons where it intricate and a complex language, even for the starters. This is a complex one and also case sensitive language where it could create confusion based only the mismatch between a simple alphabets that become the syntax in that programming language. So you need to learn well or choose well where you wanted to start from. So based on whether you want to choose JavaScript, you want to choose Kotlin, you wanted to choose Python, C++, or even C Sharp. It's all it's all the freedom for you to choose. But learn to compare between the pros and the cons between the programming language, because it would become one of your uh, main focus and main advantages when it comes to software development as well, not only focus on mobile technology. Now let's discuss the next step in our mobile application development. We have what we call IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, where in a short description we can call IDE is a package of development a system should be, because it's not focused only on how we type our code, but also provide another tools to help visualize our system before it is compiled into one huge system. So IDE basically uh, is a software that designed to streamline and to view the development of our system. In this case, we are going to move with our mobile application. It would primarily provide the developers with the programming needs, not only by the coding procedure or the compiling process, or the build process that we are going to focus later if we are choosing to focus on information technology. uh, and also we are going to use this kind of IDE into a comprehensive option today that we have, such as when we are going to use it in browser environments, or when we are going to have what we call object browsers, and also class hierarchy diagrams that we use to visualize our soon to be system before it even code, or even in what we call in common way a strategic plan before it was moved into action. So many years ago, this kind of IDE doesn't exist, and it requires the developers to write their programs using Notepad as it text editor, which can become a troublesome and time consuming things to do. Nowadays, by using IDE, we can simply drag and drop to do a lot of process that won't really would really take a lot of time to do. And today, IDE could facilitate the process of creating programs and make even easier for programmers or developers like us to create what we wanted, such as software. And the focus of our today's topic, where we are going to make a mobile software or mobile application. So this is the main benefits when we are going to integrate the IDEA, the Integrated Development Environment, as one of our method on developing system. So the first one is we can increase the setup speeds and accessibility when we are going to make our own software or own mobile application. So with by using IDEE, we can increase the what we call preparation when it comes to software development, because if we are not using IDE, we have to configure each tools that we need. We need to configure what kind of notepads or text editor that we have to use to code. We have to choose what kind of application to visualize our application that we need to run before making sure that it's good enough to be published in the market, and all of the tools that we need to set up before the application. So by using IDE, this is come into one package. It's also improved programming productivity, because all developments needs a single location. Usually need a single location. This would become an issue if we are going with a team-based programming, because when this is only in a single location, it could potentially make everyone in a team take turns to code and develop their system. So by using IDE, we will have some features that enable us to collaborate with each other in our team. It also accomplishes development tasks in a higher pace or a better pace than doing it individually, because it would give a lot of better option for us if we are going with team. So it also have the what we call standardized procedures, where everything have its standards. This is true to be a benefits, because in a huge project we usually do coding based on a team. So we need to have a standard procedure. We need to have the same name, the same definition when we are going to develop system, because when we don't have any standards, we can just say anything that we like to say, and it would make team-based programming or development confused with each other. And sometimes the people say, oh, I like to um, execute the program. Meanwhile, some of the other programmer doesn't really understand the terms of executing program. They know how uh, the definition of build, but they doesn't know. Sometimes the programmer use execute terms in order to define the process or to run a develop developed system or application. So that means when we are having an IDE, we standardize the definition of each term, so it won't confuse other programmers, so they can work seamlessly with other teams and collaborate with each other without making more times to understand each other. And lastly, it also has what we call continuous learning. By using IDE, we are connected to other communities as well that using the same IDE to develop a software. So it allows the teams to add value, add educational or knowledge in order to make a better um, software or mobile application. Now let me show you about the sample of the best IDE for web development, because we are going to focus on mobile technology. So it is best when we start with web development first. We have Visual Studio IDE, where we can use programming languages Python or JavaScript using the focus platforms such as Node, JS, or C++, or even for mobile game programming such as Unity. We also have Android Studio. This is the native one. This is the one we are introduced to develop our Android application that supports Kotlin, Java, C, Sharp, and even Python. We have IntelliJ IDEA, where we can focus on managing our SQL, JavaScript, Groovy or Scala, some kind of new things that we can try. We also have the one that good for Java, where uh, it's called NetBeans. It also can develop system in PHP, HTML5, or CSS as well. It also have we also have Aptana Studio 3, where it focus on basic web programming, and even we don't say this programming language such as HTML or even CSS and JavaScript. So let's discuss first from Visual Studio. So this Visual Studio is an IDE that produced by Microsoft. It is one of the most popular one for web development, because this IDE use AI to learn from user edits as they code, and it can finish their syntax before it is defined by the user itself. It make the user become comfortable by coding by code the syntax using AI, because we as a developer or programmers doesn't have to remember the code, and some of the programmer doesn't remember the code at all. Some of the programmers really like to use Visual Studio because uh, the experience that it gives, it basically enable us to uh, do coding by only remembering certain method or some certain procedure. And it is basically what the programmer do today. We don't really remember how to uh, type a syntax. We usually Google them and looking for answer and even solution. And this help us into making a better system or application, because we share and we implement our code basically in how well the IDE, in this case the Visual Studio, enable us to finish our sentence, our syntax by using AI. On top of that, using Visual Studio, we can also collaborate now in team. We can have the GitHub. We can edit and debug at the same time without have to use the same PC, and it will surely give us some. Uh, we we will short the time to develop the system. This Visual Studio also support not only web, it also support mobile app and game development as well. It also um, enable us to use ASP.NET, where this also one of the Microsoft product, a programming language that introduced by Microsoft. We have Python. We can have Python in Visual Studio as well, Node.js, C++, and even Unity, as well as the new one for Azure, where this is also one from Microsoft. The next one is Android Studio. This one is also focused as an IDE or the basic tools to create an Android application. So this is from Google and announced in 2013, and it has become a huge basic application to be learned from. It is one of the IDE that also has what we call access from the debug side. So basically when we code, we can show the application instantly using Android Studio. So this is one to be choose if you are going with Android based mobile application. We also have the new one, or maybe in my opinion not really popular one, IntelliJ IDEA, where this is an integrated development environment for Java machine or JVM languages that designs to maximize developer productivity. It's still uh, really focused on how the routine or repetitive tasks are used by the developer to complete the code. So instead of Visual Studio who use AI to finish the sentence, it use the routinity or the repetitive task that the users do. So it helps in certain ways as well. We also have NetBeans, where this is focused on Java to produce a highly good application or softwares that focusly written in Java and also developed by the owner of Java as well, where the name is Sun, Sun, so Sun like the sun that we have today. It's also focused on method that focus in open source idea where all of the IDE, the programming language should be open source and access freely for the community, where it become it huge tools in order to develop a better way of programming as well. Other than Java, NetBeans also supports C, C++, XML, HTML, PHP, Groovy, and another scripting languages that you can use. Then, in my personal opinion, this is one of the good programming language and IDE, the Java and Apache or Apache NetBeans that really beginner friendly. So it is recommendable to be used. We also have Aptana Studio 3 where this is one of the best web development because it focus on the web pages development. You can use this if you want to focus on the web development. So I think based from the IDE that I shown today, I think some of you can easily choose from the option above. So if you're going to focus on the development, you can start by googling the name of the IDE. Okay, and if you have any question as well, it would be fine for you to ask me directly by my email. You can contact me directly by email if you want to have a recommendation from me in order to focus on software development as well. So basically, from our discussion today, that we can conclude that in order to attain or focus on the development of mobile technology, especially when we are using creativity or innovation, we can make sure that people are able to choose and see what kind of tools that is needed for them, especially not only because we are going to become a programmer, but when we are going to focus into becoming an executive or the holder of the company, we need to make sure that we can give an increase on importance, or maybe wondering whether is there anything we can do to increase our creativity and innovation to develop our field of interest, whether it is for businesses, for personal gain, or even for creative uses as well. So one tool isn't enough. One tool is not enough to develop in the use of technology as well. So we need to make sure that we have the IDE, the programming language that's suitable for us, and also we have the team that capable on doing what we need to do in order to make sure that we can increase the benefits of our field of interest. It whether it is for educational purpose, for businesses, or even for a new ways to do things such as interactive studies, or maybe uh, in interactive industry as well. So it become a huge potential to help people when we are going to choose this kind of implementation kind of idea. It will potentially help the people to think in a new ways and stumble on ideas which is original and even a good one that could provide become a better solution for us. So that's all for our discussion today. We will start again next week with other discussion, and I will see you again next week. Thank you and bye bye.